Hi everyone, I'm Daniel Rosales, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make chocolate chip cookies. Now the recipe that I'm using today is a pretty simple recipe for your average chocolate chip cookie, so it's not too hard at all. I have all of my ingredients set out beforehand, just makes things a little easier and the process goes a little faster, and I have all my equipment here. So we'll start with, we have 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We have 1 cup of packed brown sugar, half a cup or 1 stick of butter. We have 1 egg. We'll be using 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 3/4 of a cup of chocolate chips. Now for our equipment, we have our mixing bowl, a hand mixer, or you could use a stand mixer or do it by hand. They all work the same way. We have a baking tray lined with aluminum foil. Normally I use parchment paper, but I'm actually out of that right now. I have a whisk, measuring spoons, a spatula, and a cookie scoop. So let's start. Okay, first we're going to take our baking soda, baking powder, and salt, mix it together with the flour really quick. You don't have to mix too much, just enough to get it incorporated. That should be good right there. Okay, and now we're going to add our packed brown sugar. You can hear it's definitely very packed. And our stick of butter. We're going to cream that together for about 3 minutes. We want it to be light and fluffy at the end of this. So I'll mix it and I'll show you guys the finished result. Okay, that's been whipping for about 3 minutes. You can see here it's definitely lighter in color than the brown sugar was before. And it's definitely very airy. Now I'm going to take my spatula and scrape down the sides. Just do this to make sure you get everything mixed in. You don't want any loose strands of sugar getting caught on the sides, and eventually you get a little crunchy piece of cookie. Okay, once that's all done, you're going to rub off the spatula, put it all back in. And now we're going to add our egg. And our half a teaspoon of vanilla. Now the egg in this recipe is basically our binding agent. It's what will hold our cookie together, make sure that it stays together while baking and doesn't fall apart. Okay, there is all of that. And then we're going to mix it again. You don't need to mix the egg and vanilla into this too much, just enough to get it all mixed in and incorporated. Make sure the mixture is nice and wet like it should be. And again, scrape down all of the sides. Once you have that step done, we're going to add in our dry mixture. Now I add this in half at a time just because I don't want to add it all at once, and then when I start mixing there will be a giant cloud of flour everywhere. I prefer to keep things nice and clean. So in goes the first half, and then we're going to mix that. And you'll also notice as I'm pulling the mixer out of the bowl, I turn it on high really quick just for a couple seconds. That's to make sure I get everything off of the beaters and back into the bowl so I can make sure I get as much dough as possible. Okay, now I'm going to add the rest of the dry mixture. And as you're mixing this, it will definitely become a lot harder to mix. Just keep working at it though, because eventually it will all come together and you'll have a great cookie dough. Okay, now here you can see how thick the cookie dough mixture is. It definitely sticks to the spatula. And again, I'm going to scrape down all of the sides, and especially the bottom. The bottom is usually where stuff gets stuck the most, so you definitely want to make sure you have that covered. Now that our dough is all done, we're going to add our chocolate chips. Now I have milk chocolate chips here. You can use whatever chocolate chips you like. You can use white chocolate, mint chips, peanut butter chips. It's really up to you and your preference. So I'm going to add in all of these. And I prefer to mix in the chocolate chips by hand. It's just my personal preference to make sure that everything gets all mixed in evenly throughout the cookies, because if you use a mixer, sometimes it won't spread right, and you could have one cookie with no chocolate chips, and who wants that? Nobody, right? So I'm just going to fold them in a couple of times, just a few strokes with the spatula. And as you're doing this, you could definitely feel cookie dough is much, much thicker. And once I'm done mixing these all in, we're going to scoop them onto the tray and bake them. So here you go, you have your cookie dough all done. Oh, it's really, really thick. Perfect, that's exactly what you want it to look like right now. So, now, you're gonna take your cookie scoop and just start scooping them onto the tray. It's as easy as that. Also, I should have told you this earlier. You want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. I have mine set to that right now. You're going to bake these for 10 to 12 minutes. 10 minutes if you want a softer, chewier cookie, or 12 minutes if you want a crunchier cookie. Maybe even an extra minute if you want them really crunchy. I personally like soft, chewy cookies, so I'm only going to bake them for 10 minutes. And this recipe will make 3 dozen cookies. So yeah, that is a lot. You may want to share them with some people. Or you don't have to share them. There's nothing wrong with keeping them all to yourself. I will be taking these to a party later. Once you have all of your cookies scooped onto the tray, you can go ahead and pop them in the oven. I'm going to finish the rest of these, and I will be back in a minute to show you the finished results. The cookies are out of the oven. They look and smell great. Now for my favorite part, the taste test. Let's go with this one. See this golden brown color on the bottom? That's perfect. That's what you want all your cookies to look like. They're definitely really good. They're simple, easy to make. Anybody can make them. Definitely encourage you to try some if you can. Thank you so much for watching me teach you how to make these. I hope you learned something throughout this video. Thank you and have a great day.